Well, welcome back to the Betitright show, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have you with us. As you know by now, Betitright is a website that brings the football data to your door and helps you bet better. Like, subscribe to this podcast, tell your mates about it, and hopefully, once again, we'll have a very successful weekend here on the Betitright show. Dean, we have to start with the Champions League, which we've just seen, the first leg of the semi-finals. Two very contrasting games. The Madrid City game will go down, I think, in Champions League history as one of the all-time greats, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I was amazed. It could have been 8-1, 5-5. I thought Real Madrid did their Real Madrid thing really well, where they just kind of grabbed those goals, and Benzema's finish for the first one was just unbelievable. He has to win the Ballon d'Or now. Just has to win it, especially at the age that he's at, 42 goals now, which is unbelievable. And then last night, Liverpool just doing what they needed to do. I think 2-0 was the score that most people would have predicted given the prices. And they saw the game out, and it's going to be really difficult for Villarreal second leg. But yeah, that City-Madrid game was out. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was. It was a joy to watch. We actually we asked for a score prediction in the Liverpool game. Neil Roberts, who I don't know whether he does bet on his correct score predictions, but he seems to get it right every week. And it's not after time, because we asked for the games on our BIR Insights page on Twitter beforehand. 2-0 he correctly predicted, so well done to Neil. We also put up a poll, actually, because it's interesting. Last year, City would be going back to the Bernabeu, going, we only need to win 1-0 and we're through. So it would be a very different game. But now they've taken away the away goals rule. I wonder how they'll approach it. And we asked our followers on social media whether they agreed and liked the fact that there were no away goals. We set up a poll. 74% of the people who voted say that they are pleased that there is no away goals anymore. Do you agree with that, Dean?
I do. I am in the 74%. I've always thought, and this is a lot of people have been talking about this. It's been there since 1965. Now that teams are far more even in quality, a lot of people say that, if you're the home team in the first leg, it makes you not want to play attacking football, because you're then kind of penalised going into the second leg if you concede. And there's been a massive decline in home advantage with results over the last kind of 50 years. So, yeah, I think it's a really good decision now that there's that 15 minutes of extra time and penalties if it's all locked off after the two legs. And I think that's a great decision. And hopefully we'll see more attacking football like that, like the Man City Real Madrid game, where they just go, right, let's have a go. And hopefully the second leg is exactly the same. I don't think Pep. I just hope it's 5-5 or 6-6, and you can just sit there, with that popcorn meme, just having a great time.
It was a brilliant match. So enjoyable. We'll see what happens.
As soon as Fernandinho came on at right back, I just thought to myself, if you're Vinicius Jr. and you see 36-year-old Fernandinho coming at right back, you're just going to be like, oh.
And there was not a meme, but there was a clip that was doing the rounds on social media. They slow-moed it. When he sort of like nutmeg turned Fernandinho and then sort of sprinted past him. And it was like super slow mode. It was just brilliant. Great teams. I think you're right. I think it will surprise everyone if Benzema doesn't get the Ballon d'Or this year.
And that penalty after missing two penalties at the weekend in the same game. There, 4-2 down away to City in the first leg of the Champions League semi-final when he does a Panenka. And like this much under the crossbar. And then there was a picture yesterday in social media and online about all the Man City fans kind of smiling after he'd scored and videoing him. And I'm like, what? Is this how football fans are now? It's about the event and what they can video and show their friends, as opposed to being genuinely frustrated that they've just conceded 3 goals at home.
That was the thing. It was like the tourist corner, wasn't there, of just everyone with their phones out in
like this
the Man City area, as Benzema ran over to celebrate in front of the home fans.
Which, it's amazing. It's amazing spectacle and everything, but if you've got a Man City scarf on and you're some sort of a fan, you've got to be a little bit annoyed. I'm sure the hardcore were, but yeah, an amazing game, and I can't wait for the second leg.
Okay, we're going to go back to the kit room, I'm pleased to say, because we've got another batch of surprise shirts. So you're going to take us to the kit room this week. What have you got?
We have. The delivery has arrived. The wait is over. And here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the kit for this week. And here we are. what do we think, Ollie Bell? Our shirt for this week.
I mean, I couldn't even begin to guess where that's from.
That's good. I'm going to sit further away from the camera so people can't read the badge. This is a club that founded in 2012. This is a little bit off the beaten track from our normal shirts, from our great friends at Surprise Shirts. They play in the top division in their country. They won the Premier League in 2020 to qualify for the AFC Cup for the second time in their history. Now, this is not one of our usual countries that we cover. So, challenge now to the Betitright followers. Can you guess where this shirt is from? If you can, follow us on YouTube. When the show is put up there, go on there, make your little comments and guess to see if you can guess this shirt. Any guess, Ollie, at all from you?
I'll just make myself look like an idiot. So, no.
Well, actually, and we definitely don't want to do that because a little birdie's told me that today is a special day.
It is. It's the day that the kit room returns on the Betitright show.
And the reason it returned is because it's Ollie's birthday.
My birthday. I'm still waiting for the kit from last time, actually, which you promised you'd send over.
Well, have you noticed that it's not on the wall anymore?
Oh, look out.
So could it potentially be in the post?
You'll break my heart if it doesn't come today. No,
the answer to that is absolutely not. It's not in the post. It's here with me.
I knew it wasn't coming. Yeah, 35 today. I feel like an old man, to be honest. You know, when you go out and have a drink, and then when you were sort of 22, you could do 4 nights in a row, months in a row. Whereas now it takes me sort of months to recover after one night out. So yeah, I'm feeling the pinch a bit, unfortunately.
Why? See, this is where, for our viewers, we should have recorded tomorrow just to see what you look like after a night on your birthday.
I did, you know what? Just a slight tangent before we get into the tactics room, but I went to my cousin's wedding 2 weeks ago in Ireland, and a great friend of mine, Tanya Stevenson, who lots of people know, she used to work on Channel 4. She's our statistician at ITV Racing. She goes, "Oh, do you mind doing an interview for Racing Post Greyhound TV, just about your runner in the Grand National?" And I said, "Yep, no problem. Just to let you know, I'll be at my cousin's wedding the night before." And I swear to God, I watched it back the other day. I looked so bad, like you could not hear. Like my voice was raspy, and then all the comments were, "Jesus, Ollie must have had a tear up the night before." And they were right. It was fairly embarrassing, but
so we'll dive in tomorrow for a little segment on Ollie's birthday bash.
I'll send Ash, who does our social media. I'll send him a picture of me tomorrow morning, and he can put it out the morning after the night before.
Love it.
Okay, kit room. Just a reminder: get your guesses in, put them on the YouTube comments, as Dean mentioned. Thanks to Surprise Shirts, we're back. We'll have another kit room as the season sort of winds down. Next week on the show. But now tactics room, and a broad tactics room this time. You're going to speak more generally, is that right?
I am, yeah, because we're going into that time of the season where teams are fighting for relegation. We talked a little bit about it last week, that's to play for. And I really wanted to hone in on that this week, because having looked at the Premier League markets, the market prices are very, very tight this week. There's not a lot of flexibility. I think the market's got a lot of games right. So you're going to have to look the next level below to see, right, well, where could there be potential movements? Where could the market have potentially got things wrong? And I wanted to give 2 examples from last night before we get into the Premier League. Serie A last night, Bologna versus Inter. Bologna nothing to play for. Inter fighting for the title with AC Milan. They go to Bologna, they lose 2-1. Fiorentina versus Udinese. Fiorentina fighting for Europe. Udinese safe on a good run, but away from home. Fiorentina have been very strong at home this season. Fiorentina lose 4-0. Now, when you look at that, you're like, well, you know, there's nothing to play for versus Europe. There's nothing to play for versus Serie A title. But then if you look a level below, Bologna versus Inter. Bologna's manager, Sinisa Mihajlovic, this is a very extreme example, suffering from his second bout of leukemia, currently in hospital, recovering from that at the moment. So there you would think that the players want to go and perform for him, especially against the club where he finished his career at Inter Milan. And then the second one, Fiorentina versus Udinese. Udinese manager got the job on the 7th of December, only to the end of the season. He used to be the assistant to Luca Gotti before he got the sack. And they've had a massive upturn in results. The players look happy. And maybe the players actually like him and they want him to get a new contract. So they're pushing through to the end of the season for him. So this is where, this part of the season, we have to really start to look at it. And I wanted to look at 3 games firstly in brief in the Premier League. Newcastle, Liverpool, Leeds, Man City, and West Ham, Arsenal. Now, Newcastle, Liverpool. Liverpool are in championship winning mode right now. Newcastle, a completely different team. We talked about it when Eddie Howe got the job. I chastised them a little bit for their January transfer window, and after I hold my hands up, I did say I think they would stay out because of the players, and that's been true. He's done an unbelievable job there. Liverpool are -1.25, and the market price is 2.75 on goals. Thinking that's bang on, purely because teams are now setting up a little bit deeper against Liverpool. They're defending tighter, and Liverpool aren't going to keep their foot on the gas to win games. Look at last night against Villarreal. They got to 2-0 and they were like, okay, let's take our foot off a bit, be a bit more organised. And I think that's going to be the same thing for the rest of the season now. These big open Liverpool games are gone. So there, the market is looking at Liverpool potentially winning 2 or 3-0. Second game, Leeds versus Man City. Prices are 1.5 and 3.25. If this was a Bielsa versus Guardiola, you'd be all over Man City covering the handicap and on the goals. But under Jesse Marsch, they've become much more defensively secure, and there is to play for here. Man City wanting to get over the line, know that there's going to be a big crowd at Leeds and a loud crowd because of the relegation battle. So there again, I think the market has got the prices right. It's a very different game to how it would have been under Bielsa. So looking at season-long statistics on our website is not going to have as much value as looking at recency, last 4 and 8 games under Jesse Marsch. Final game, West Ham Arsenal. Now, West Ham going to play Eintracht Frankfurt tonight, semi-finals of the Europa League. Massive game for them. And they tend to perform poorly in between European games. Now, when I looked at the price, Arsenal -3/4, I thought, wow, that's a really, really tight price. I was expecting it to be a half-goal game. West Ham on a little bit of a tricky run at the moment. And they do have big injury concerns with centre-backs before tonight's game and potentially at the weekend, now that Craig Dawson is suspended. So there, my first thoughts were, wow, I would be on West Ham 3/4. But then looking at the centre-backs, looking at the rotation, and then potentially being some rotation for the weekend as well, that would be another game where I would wait for teams. And then potentially it could be Arsenal that become value based on the rotation in the game tonight against Frankfurt. So there's just 3 examples where the market is now towards the end of the season. We have to look one level lower. And for our tactics game today, we're going to go to a team that we talked about recently, Leicester against Tottenham. This game's on Sunday. Leicester play Roma in the semi-final of the Conference League. Massive for them. We talked about it last week with the prize money and getting into an improved Europa League for next season. And last week we talked about, does Fofana and Evans play? If they do, then we like the unders. Fofana played, Evans didn't. It was 0-0. This week, I think they could rotate again, go to a back 3 to match Spurs up. This was the famous game we talked about earlier in the season with Steven Bergwijn scoring those 2 amazing goals in injury time. And outside of that back 3, he could rest and rotate, could play players in not their favoured positions just to get through this game at the weekend with the second leg. But again, that depends on how the first leg goes tonight. So at the moment, the goal line is 3 and the market is 1.25. If Leicester go to a back 5, that would shift the goals for me and I would become more on the unders side because it would be a game where they just want to get through it. They want to minimise the amount of running and transitions they want to do against the Tottenham side that counter-attack well. And that would put me on under 3 goals. If there are some rotations and maybe they play with a back 4 and there's some players in unfamiliar positions, then Tottenham could become value. Now, keep an eye on the price. It's 1.25 at the minute. I do think, depending on the result tonight, it could drift towards the -1 line at the weekend, and that would make Tottenham value for me. So tactics from this game is not so much about team tactics. It's more about our betting tactics. What are we doing to make sure that our bets get over the line? Are we taking time on Betitright website to look underneath at the data, the game results, and the game statistics when teams are mixing and matching, rotating, nothing to play for relegation versus getting into that Champions League spot. So my advice today for everybody would be take more time over your bets, really look at it from a strategic angle, and hopefully we can still get profit there.
There's a massive relegation clash as well, isn't there? Watford, Burnley.
There is, and this kind of slips into the similar point about the to play for. we've got 5 games left. Watford are right in it now. This is do or die. They're 9 points from safety. Burnley are on a great run. We talked about them last week. 7 points from 3 games under the temporary staff. And Everton losing in the derby, drawing in the 92nd minute. They're 2 points above Everton, who have a game in hand. So this is massive for both teams. Now, when the market are pricing this, they're looking at the 2 teams and they're saying, right, well, Burnley are traditionally an unders team. Watford are struggling. Both teams will want to defend. So the market goal line is 2.25. Now, when I looked at this, I thought, okay, that's a reflection of the quality, but actually Watford front 3 are okay. Burnley do struggle to defend against pace, and Burnley have looked much more aggressive and expansive in the 3 games, and they will want that momentum to continue. Now, this is not a game that will die at 1-0 or 1-1. So I was thinking, actually, a bit of over 2.25 in here, because of the to play for, because the game could just blow up and go crazy, I think is actually really good value. And that's my recommendation in that Premier League game this week.
It's interesting. Just quickly on that, I know you're an Everton fan. I've watched the last couple of games. I've seen enough from them to think that they'll survive, but am I wrong?
Well, we talked about this, what was it now, probably 6 or 8 weeks ago, when I made my recommendations for who I thought was getting relegated.
Yeah.
And I said Norwich, Watford, and I think I said Burnley.
Brentford.
And Brentford on that run. And then, Christian Eriksen's come in and sparked a bit of a revival there. Obviously, Newcastle were out of it. And now it's looking, well, it's going to be one of Everton, Leeds and Burnley. And Burnley are on a good run. Leeds, I think, are really in it. And City this weekend won't help. And I think Everton are massively in trouble. The run-in looks better for Burnley. And as an Everton fan, this is the first time I've felt genuinely worried since the 3-2 win against Wimbledon, I think in like 94, I think it was. Graham Stewart and Barry Horn and Hans Sagers getting done for match fixing. Genuinely worried that we might actually get relegated.
We'll see how that plays out. We'll discuss it as the closing fixtures sort of unfold in the Premier League over the next few weeks. But I hope for Dean's sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? His positivity next year that you are in the Premier League.
Yeah, just every week I'll just be sat here all solemn talking about the Championship every week.
Yeah, it's just going to be a load of Championship preview.
No interest in the Premier League anymore. It's a terrible league.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Championship and League
Let's
One.
Get a Super League.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Super League. Well, Everton wouldn't be in it. They'd be in the Super League for losers.
What have we got in Europe this week?
Well, last week we had a short weekend break. This is going to be a bank holiday weekend in Europe. We've got more games this weekend. Okay. So this is a 4-day jaunt around Europe. First game in League. We are in France to start Ligue 1. 4 games left. Bordeaux in 19th against Nice in 5th. Nice have the Coupe de France final on 7th of May, so they could rest here, but they're still in the race for Champions League. So again, there is a to play for theme across all our games this week. They're fighting for the Champions League spot with Rennes, Monaco and Strasbourg, and they will want to go into that Coupe de France final with some confidence. But there is a little bit of, a recommendation there to check the teams. Bordeaux massively struggling at down bottom of the league, conceded 84 goals this season, 16 more than any other team. They have had some recent positive performances, but they've all come against the lower ranked teams. And when you look at their last 4 games, lost 5-3, draw 2-2, lost 6-1, won 3-1, you'd predict that there's going to be goals, although Nice are typically a tighter team. They've had a patchy run of form against the top teams, but they are number 1 in the league for defending away from home. They've only conceded 13 goals in 17 games. For me here, I think it's just a game where quality 1 versus 1 is on Nice's side. You can bet them -0.5 at better than evens 2.03. You can take them -0.25 at 1.75. Over 2.5 is at 1.8. And given that Bordeaux just like to ship goals, this is a game that should stay quite open. So that's another angle you could go for. Or you could combine them and have a nice little Nice and over 2.5 at 3.02, which is my outside shot for France this week.
Okay, then from France we go to
Italia. Last night the Scudetto was bone wide open. Everyone thought Inter were going to walk it, myself included. They go to Bologna, they lose. We've got 4 games left. Inter now go to Udinese, who I talked about beating Fiorentina on this great run.
Whoa. Time out. This is not going to be a Sassuolo preview.
Well, just when I'd forgotten about those punks, you bring them back into me. I did actually look at them.
And it is.
Yeah, I did it. This is called, this is not the Serie A preview. This is the Sassuolo preview.
The Sassuolo show.
I did look at them again this week, and I did think there was a little bit of value there, but I couldn't bring myself to do it, so I'm doing something else.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying about the title race.
No, it's fine. Now I'm just going to think about Sassuolo. And I'm just going to have a solemn minute where I'm going to look out into the distance and just think, Sassuolo. Anyway, right, back to it. Yeah, so Udinese won 4-0 last night, as I said. Inter Milan now 2 points behind Milan. That was their game in hand last night, losing 2-1. So there's nothing to play for. Maybe there is with them wanting to keep manager versus the massive to play for, Milan versus Milan at the top. Now Udinese at home versus the big teams. 1-1 against Roma, 1-1 against Lazio, 1-1 against Milan, 2-2 against Juve. Then lost 4-0 against Napoli and lost 6-2 against Atalanta. Old manager. Compare that against Inter, number 1 defensive record in the league away from home. Last night, that has taken a little bit of a bump. But I do think that coming off of that loss yesterday, Inter are going to be, brought back to the boil by Inzaghi. Inter -3/4 at 1.7, or if you want a little bit of a bigger price, Inter -1. Think you'll get your money back. Inter to win 2-0, probably the most likely scoreline, like last night. Neil Roberts at 1.93. That is my game in Serie A this weekend. Nothing for Sassuolo. They deserve nothing.
And then we go to next up.
I'm not angry about it at all.
Done our brains with them this year.
I know, yeah.
Where's next?
We're off to Holland. Again, 4 games left. Bottom versus top. Again, to play for. Sparta Rotterdam in 18th. They're 3 points off safety. AZ Alkmaar in 5th. 6 points behind 3rd, fighting for that European spot. AZ not a team to score and sit in. Sparta have to win the game, really. The to play for keeps this game alive, with Sparta desperate for points. And AZ Alkmaar, 14 out of 17 games in all competitions, that's home and away over the last 17, have gone over 2.5. So recommendations in this game, over 2.5 at 1.98.
And finally,
it's a little Bundesliga bonanza. One from Bundesliga, one from Bundesliga 2. In the Bundesliga, shorter season with the smaller leagues. They've got 3 games left. This is Gladbach in 11th versus Leipzig in 4th. Leipzig slipped up last week, looked really poor at home to Union Berlin 2-1. So they're going to want to bounce back here. A bit of the old Ian Dowie bounce back ability, if we remember that. And they're fighting for that 4th Champions League spot. Gladbach, nothing to play for. They just have had a horrible season after the manager left and went to Dortmund. They've got quality individual players, but it just hasn't really worked this year. They've won only 6 out of 15 at home. They've got the 4th worst defensive record, conceding 1.56 goals at home. They do have a positive attacking record, exactly the same, 1.56. So could see some goals there. Leipzig only lost 5 out of 15 away from home. They have the number 1 defensive record, conceding only 1.01 goals away from home. And the number 4 attacking record, 1.7. So here I would say straight matchup again, individual quality. Leipzig -0.5 at 1.79. You could go 3/4 if you want a bigger price. Over 2.75 goals, again 1.79. So tight prices for them. Or you could combine, a little bit like earlier with Nice, Leipzig and over 2.5 goals at 2.56, I think is great value. And our little bonus bonanza Bundesliga game of the week is from Bundesliga 2, a league that I follow very closely. Again, it's a massive game towards the top of the league. St. Pauli in 4th against Nuremberg in 6th. 2 huge clubs that belong in the Bundesliga. They're both on a run of one win in 6 games. They both need a win to stay in touch with the top 3. As some of our users may know, the top 2 go up and the 3rd plays against the bottom 3rd team in the Bundesliga in a relegation playoff, which is quite a unique thing. And it's basically huge to play for both teams. St. Pauli, very open, expansive, play 4 diamond 2, lots of combination play. Nuremberg like to sit in a mid-block and break. So should be lots of counter-attack, lots of transition. St. Pauli with an average of 2.12 goals at home. Nuremberg a good enough 1.4 to keep the game alive. And I do think this game just stays open and aggressive. Potential bets for me there. Over 2.5 if you want to be safe on 3 goals, but the price will probably be only around 1.5, 1.6. If you want closer to evens, over 2.75, which I think is great value.
Dean, you're a top man. You've nailed it this week. Thank you very much, as always. Don't forget the kit that Dean is wearing. You can guess that in the YouTube comments of the show that we post.
I'm not going to do a fashion walk. You know, that's the last time I'm ever going to do that.
With that. Thank you very much for listening, watching, like, subscribe. Most importantly, get on Betitright.com, because all the information, I'm sure you all know by now, but all the information Dean talks about is available to you all for free, so sign up. And also the prompts page has been in red hot form at the moment, showing a very healthy profit to a level stake. So follow the BIR prompts page on Twitter and BIR Insights for my my morning after the day before photo tomorrow.
Well, yeah. On the Betitright prompts, just to let the users know, if they'd have placed £2 on every single prompt last week, which was over 1,000 prompts, obviously, because it generates it through every single action and moment in a game, a new prompt is generated, there was a profit of £350. So again, prompts page producing some great stuff. And Oli, happy birthday again. Have a fantastic day. Don't mix your drinks. Remember to have something to eat.
Yeah,
have some sugar or a Barocca before you go to bed and get lots of sleep, all right? Because 35, it's game over now.
I know, mate. I know, don't. It's game over now for me, and it's game over for this week's edition of the Bet It Right Show. Dean, thank you very much, mate. We'll see you next week. Thank you for
have a great time.
Subscribe, and always bet better with Bet It Right. We'll see you later.